Lol, a bunch of sticky notes that spell out the name of the room. Also, this floating block of text hanging in the air. I'm surprised you haven't noticed that in each room you've been in. You'd think that would be a big standout. Welcome to Graeme Games. My name is Graeme. This is a game. I'm doing more fan games, this time for Riddle School. I don't plan for this to be like my specific thing, but we're trying to start the reboot of the channel off strong. People seem to really enjoy the Henry Stickmin fan games. So yeah, let's go with another popular series that's done well on the channel. I have played all of the Riddle School games. I'll have a link to the playlist at the end and in the description, worth checking out if this is your jam. Jessica's School is probably one of the most well-known fan games. It's not the type of game that took the literal characters, lifted them up, and started a new story. It's fully inspired by, but right from like the font and these buttons down below, all the way to the way you flip between the different menu items, and you have a different image to go along with all that. All of it is very clearly coming straight from what John Bro did with Riddle School. When did school ever get this boring? To be honest, I'm getting sick of listening to all this math stuff. I wish I was free right now. Well, technically I am free, but free as a cat in a cat in an animal cage. I think Phil says free as a bird in a cage, and I just said free 3 times in the same sentence. Maybe you need school then. Expand your vocabulary. Alright, that's it. I'm getting out of this school right now. It's so hard to not read like the Once and For All, I think. I've played Riddle School 1 so many times that my brain wants to read the original dialogue. I think even the characters facing the opposite way, which is like a funny little tweak. Not that it's worth getting out of, it's just that it's so boring. I like the use of one of the fonts from Riddle School for the click to continue, but again, this isn't gonna be easy. Alright, Jessica, I'll make sure you won't get out of my room unless school's over. He's just gonna announce that? The lockdown aspect there? Is the teacher paying attention? I guess you shouldn't be narrating your plans, outwardly like that. See? I told you. I kind of like the idea that Jessica talks more directly to the player. I think Phil only ever kind of talks to himself. Mr. Integer's room, that fits very well with like Mrs. Sum and things you would see in Riddle School. Math equals FU times N. Make sure you complete the full equation. You wouldn't want to end it right after the U there. You don't want the FU. Math is equal to function of U multiplied by N factorial. In simpler words, math is fun. I respectfully disagree. That's my math teacher, Mr. Integer. And yes, I know he kind of looks like John Arbuckle. He looks identical to John Arbuckle. I think John has like the tiniest bit of poof in his hair, maybe a little bit of extra color on the temples or something. I wouldn't have thought it, but now it's all I can see. You shouldn't have pointed it out, Jessica. You've alerted me to the exactness. Jessica has a smartphone. I should have brought some earplugs for that one, but no matter. I can go out now. That's funny to have that immediately in your inventory, but it's also like a nice updating of the game. Since this was made something like 10 years after the original Riddle School, yeah, that would be like, a little bit more likely. The play on a loud noise making the teacher wipe out comes kind of from like Riddle School 2. I should probably just leave them alone. Have we fully, completed things already? It almost looks like there's something. Oh, it's a cue stick on top. I thought maybe there was something behind. That's a locker and it's locked. It's a locker and it's locked. That's a lot like a joke that exists in Delta Room. I really need to stop playing games in a way where I just end up looking for connections to other games. It makes sense with fan games, though. I guess that's part of the fun. Physics. It's everywhere. Just like chemistry. Most sciences. Here we have stylish John Arbuckle, Mr. Newton, how to teach physics. Also a magnet. I don't know what this magnet's doing here or how they work, but I'll still take it. That's my physics teacher, and in case you're wondering, yes, he's a descendant of Isaac Newton. Wow, what a privilege. Although maybe it's more of a family business thing. Maybe he would have rather worked in a bakery, and he feels trapped in this life of science. Ironically, his daughter Priscilla knows a lot about chemistry, and also he's reading a book about how to teach physics. He must be a new teacher. Yeah, he's tons new. Loads new. New ton. There's always a Sarah. It just makes sense, you know? I know multiple Sarahs. My best friend. She's always on her smartphone, and I mean always. That's Charles. For some reason, he's always wearing headphones. That's incredibly a Henry Stickmin reference. The name Charles always has the red headphones over his ears. That's brilliant. That's really funny. But he doesn't even have a music player attached to it, which is even more weird. And to top it all off, those headphones he uses are pretty huge. Personally, if I were to wear those, my head would just keep falling because of its weight. I like the idea of if you're going to make the main character a girl, then like her best friend is going to be a girl, and it just kind of adds a little bit more variety to the students at this particular school. Although it's funny, this is Jessica's school, named after Jessica. Riddle School was never named Fred's School or Egg Tree School. It's a locker and it's locked. I assume they're all locked, but I kind of feel like I have to check anyways. Someone was here. I wonder who that someone was. The font on the door there and everything looks identical to the janitor's closet and just the layout of the room from Riddle School. That's a broom. Where's the mop? I rummaged through the recycling bin and all I got was this lousy piece of string. It kind of reminds me of like I went on tour for 3 years and all I got was this lousy t-shirt, that sort of joke. The janitor tool rack reminds me of the one I put in Return to Riddle School, but the screwdriver was like replaced with a chicken drum. Those are the janitor's tool, and I'm certainly not touching them. I do have a commentary track for that game that exists on the other channel. Possibly worth checking out. Miss Word Bank. In case you're wondering why all of the classrooms are pointing in the same direction, let's just say I was lazy. Nah, you just gotta think it's like a perspective flip, you know? That, I guess I see what they mean. The teacher is always on the left-hand side. But, you know, similarly, the door is always on the interior far end there. It's fine. I wasn't gonna question it. That's Dan the Diamond Minecart. If Stuart and Cody are also like YouTube references, I unfortunately don't know them. My English teacher, she's wearing a sweatshirt when all teachers are supposed to wear polo shirts. I guess you're wearing a sweatshirt too, just like Phil Eggtree always does. For a second I thought maybe that was a bit of a reference to that, but the main character has that going on already. I kind of like her sense of fashion. Cody, hey Cody, what's up Jess? Ooh, we have a word branch in section. How are you doing? Got any opinions about the school? Do you ship any couples? Are you enjoying school at all? Can you tell me anything you've done recently? Do you have a comic book perchance? How you doing? Thanks for asking. I'm doing well. Got any opinions? Well, technically, I have a lot of opinions, but if I want to sum them up, I'd say the school has a 3.5 out of 5-star rating. Is that like the anticipated rating scene on Newgrounds? That would be incredible if there was a layer of code checking the Newgrounds score and like updating that within the game. I don't think I've ever seen something like that, but that would be an incredible joke or payoff. Oh yeah, I ship lots of couples, but only the ones on cartoons. Fair enough, and I agree, don't ship real people. That's like weird. It's a manipulative feeling. I dislike that. Are you enjoying school at all? Well, I can't say I am, but I can't say I'm not either. I guess I'm somewhere in the middle then. Middle school, perhaps? That made almost no sense to me, but whatever. Can you tell me anything you've done recently? Well, I would if you like talking about experimentations of human waste. No, I would not like to talk about the way that you play with feces. I have no interest in that at all. Actually, yes, I do have a comic book with me. Why? Do you want it? Yeah, can I have it? Well, okay, but you're gonna have to give me something else to occupy my mind. Like a magnet, or the string, the joy of having a fresh, new piece of string, wrap it around your finger, pull it taut, tie it in a bow, string all day. Yeah, I kind of like that. In fact, I'm fine if it's even a textbook. Alright, Cody, I'll see if I can find one. This is a much more fleshed out game than I was expecting. It's like at least as big as the original Riddle School. Take care, sort of final response there. See you later, you two. Wait, that doesn't make sense. Alright, I'll see you later, you two. I guess you'll see her later too, but it feels like more of a response to like, have a nice day. You know, and it's kind of like an awkward, wrong response. That's my little brother Dan. That's really funny to like have that be a part of the game, that the famous YouTuber Dan the Diamond Minecart is your younger brother. Coincidentally, he's a big fan of Dan the Diamond Minecart. That's almost even funnier, that he's just like dressing up as his favorite YouTuber. And Stuart in the back, his life right now is anything but ordinary. Is that because he's like Benjamin Buttoning or something? He's turned into an old man? This is because he has 10 siblings, with him being the 11th. Call it a hunch, but for some reason he reminds me of a cartoon character. If I remember correctly, that character had 10 sisters. In fact, Stuart kind of looks like him. Is that like a Stuart Little joke? I mean, I know who that character Stuart looks like is, but I just can't remember the name. I can't think of what that Stuart with 11 sisters? After some quick Googling, I think it is a reference to the Loud House, and that they're supposed to look like the character Lincoln. I just wanted to have like some understanding of what was going on there, so I think I figured it out. No way. So it's kind of, you know, the inverse of that joke of Phil obviously wouldn't go into the women's. You expected that fountain to do something, didn't you? Yeah, I very, very much thought that it would sprinkle out just a little bit of water. Keep calm and shut up. It is a rude sign, isn't it? Did Mr. Calm perhaps implement this? But he did spell his name differently. That doesn't sound very nice to me. A math book? I'm sure Mr. Novel won't mind if I take this math book. Besides, he's got his eyes on whatever that book he's reading is. I like how they came up with unique names for each one of these students, but they still are so much done in that original style of character naming. The librarian, I don't know how long he's been reading that book, but something tells me he's not going anywhere for the next few hours. Maybe he's overcoming his own illiteracy. It's his greatest shame, and he thought working in a school would be the perfect opportunity for him to be able to overcome that deficiency. And so he's just spending hours on like one line, one page, trying to slowly conquer this book. I'm hoping I can actually flip around in some of the things. If you right click, there's a quick little trying to cheat. I don't think so. That doesn't let you. All I wanted was to zoom in. I just want to zoom in on these things and see what's going on there. I zoomed in a piece of software. I'll try and see if I can extract it for the sake of the video for higher quality imaging. But there's Jessica's House, which I think was also made by this same developer. I don't know if that acts as a sequel or a prequel or which was made first. Greg's Journal, which makes me think of maybe Greg's Sleep from Riddle School. Riddle School, tips and tricks. It's like basically a walkthrough for Riddle School. The best book ever. I've always been curious. I've been reading the worst book ever. And you know, I had high hopes going in. I expected a lot from it. The title just did so much to sell me on it conceptually. And it was a bit of a letdown. Who would have thought? The best book ever, though. That sounds promising. YouTubers in my life. Well, I suppose I suddenly deserve a page in that book. Perhaps. Maybe that's asking a bit much. Flowers and stuff. It's just flowers and stuff. Very nice. What sweet, nice things to have in a book. I don't think I can pull any of them off the shelf and actually investigate them in any way. It's a poorly drawn restroom. I know. Well, you didn't need to rag on yourself with graffiti within your own game there. I think it looks just fine. If anything, it's like probably a little bit cleaner of art than the original Riddle School, and everyone considers that like pretty passable. How cute. A graffiti in the shape of a heart. Well, that is quite cute. It's nice. It's interesting to think of it, the fact that it seems like it was done in a spray can, and that's why it's dripping. What are these hooligans actually bringing spray cans into, like, a junior high? I don't know how old these kids are. I don't think I need to wash my hands right now. For some reason, I can't see my reflection through that mirror. It's probably tinted. Hopefully it's not like a two-way mirror. I don't think I can open up a single locker. Geo! How's it going, bud? Hey, Jess. What's up? Oh, the ceiling, the sky, some birds flying around. Okay. Why are you standing outside of the office? This is funny, because this is kind of a combination of Chub Munch and Richie, the hall monitor, of blocking the hallway while blocking the main office there. It's serving one character serving both functions, and I think that's funny. The teachers set me here to school monitor, and I'm supposed to guard their office. Oh, well, can't you take a break? I'd love to, but I can't right now. In fact, us school monitors rarely get any breaks. Now that's some unrightful judgment right there. Are you feeling okay? Yeah, I'm feeling okay. I mean, I kind of wanted to beat myself up, but I'm okay. Okay, freaking me out a little bit, Geo. Do I need to talk to someone? It's a little too down. Why the long face? I don't know. I need some sort of comic book, something that I can enjoy. Yeah, that's it. A comic book. That will get the sad look off my face for sure. Are you talking to me or yourself? Myself. We have a full-on Eeyore here. I kind of wish his name was like Rory or something, like a reverse of Eeyore, because this is very much the vibe I'm getting. Not, mentally, emotionally the reverse of Eeyore. That's very much straight in line with things. Just the name. Okay, see you later. Whatever. Cafeteria at the end? No, Riddle Transfer 2. Which, at the time, would that have existed? Because I don't know precisely when this game was made. Riddle Transfer 2. I remember myself playing that game. All I can say is you did a very good job, Janitor. Thank you so much for creating this series and completing it. Also, I've heard that when the creator of this game had played it, he cried. Also, I've heard that when the creator of this game had played it, he cried. So the creator of Jessica's School, but on the inside. If you're wondering if I cried playing it, well, to be honest, I didn't cry. I just got so emotional. But great game anyways, Janitor. I don't know, it sounds a lot like you maybe cried. And that's okay. It was an emotional end to the series, But that confirms Jessica's School coming out after. The door may be unlocked, but there's a dumpster blocking it from the other side. And a swimming pool. That's like a fun addition, a little bit different. Still weird to have a swimming pool and no gymnasium. I can see something shiny at the bottom of the pool. I would go get it, but I don't want to get myself wet. Oh, well then just stick this big old thing down there. Do you know what? I can probably combine the string and the cue stick, and then that with the magnet, fish that down below. That's some good puzzle solving. I also guess I don't know entirely why there's a pool cue in the school, since it didn't seem to be any pool tables. I got a ring, which is strange, because that's really similar to the type of solution I added in Return to Riddle School, and I think it would be really interesting if they were similarly influenced by that fan game. I don't quite think that's what's going on here, but it's making me think that maybe I've never actually played through this game. Maybe not fully. Maybe I had told myself years ago when it was new, like, I'll play it on YouTube someday. We're finally fulfilling that. Whoa, cool. A math book. I've always wanted to read a math book. Wait, really? You're like next door to the library that has been so wildly within the realm of possibility for probably the entirety of the time you've attended the school. You just had to walk like 10 meters, man. I'm glad to fulfill this long-running wish of yours. Yeah, Jess, these math books are really interesting. I can solve loads of problems. Okay, well now that you're seemingly fully entertained with numbers, can you give me the comic book with, superheroes and action and fun, cool art and things? Absolutely. A comics. Very generic sounding. This is going to be fun. Math is awesome. Yeah, okay, I'll see you later, Cody. Cody kind of fills the smiley role a little bit. Someone who genuinely is enjoying their time in school. As I was editing together this video, I realized Mrs. Carbon's room is right across from the office, and I just literally never went in here. I just never checked it out, so I guess it wasn't really relevant to the puzzles, but I wanted to see what they had. So we have Princess Bubblegum. It'll be fine. We've got science. Not exactly some good words to live by. No! I honestly think that's like the most optimistic way you have to live. I took a science-related degree at biology, and I honestly think that if you have no faith in science, then what else is there? You just kind of have to know that smarter people are out there doing what needs to be done. I think that poster is necessary almost. Mrs. Carbon, my chemistry teacher, she spends most of her time mixing chemicals and breaking down atoms. If I remember correctly, this room has exploded multiple times because of it. Well, we need to be giving that janitor a raise. I don't know, it's in equilibrium. He's nowhere to be seen. They are nowhere to be seen. And they do an immaculate job cleaning up this room after its explosion. So, worth keeping around for the cleanup. But, he's pretty absentee on a day-to-day basis. Priscilla. That's Priscilla, Mr. Newton's daughter. She's known to be a professional at chemistry, but not in everything else. Not just anything, everything else. None of it's good. So, I'm not sure whether that's a good or bad thing for her. Either way, she's still an expert at chemistry. And ironically, her dad teaches physics. I guess that's why, like father, like daughter, isn't well known. That's one reason. That's one case for it among many. It's kind of a Where's Waldo-y scarf. But the overall look, is that one of the characters from Ed's World? It reminds me of Matt from Ed's World, but that's probably just the orange hair. I'm curious if there's more to it than that. But weirdly, this room has nothing to do with the rest of the game. There's no puzzle here. You can solve the game without this room. Comic book? I do like the cartoony sound effects to go along with it. And even the commitment to the style of having these literal cutaway cutscenes. I think the style is very well replicated while making it something still original. The character design, the general way the art is done, even though the layout of the different areas is still familiar. I respect that. I think that's really well done to make it so much their own. Office. Lol, a bunch of sticky notes that spell out the name of the room. Also, this floating block of text hanging in the air. I'm surprised you haven't noticed that in each room you've been in. You'd think that would be a big standout. It's surprising that there's no one managing the office today, but in my case, this is good. And the office computer. I wish I could use that computer, but it's password protected. But can I use the ring in some way? It made sense in my mind. The only thing that's worth looking at, that calendar, is nothing. It's not worth it. And Mr. Buzzoff, the principal. Jessica Treewood. Egg Tree, Treewood. It's a fun little play. What are you doing here? It's funny to talk straight to the principal rather than someone out in the front office. Standing, I thought I might stop by your office for a visit. I need to tell you something I don't know. Then why don't you just go back to class? How about... I thought it's standing. Then I suggest you get back to class. I thought those two would fail. Figured I would do them first. I thought I'd stop by and visit. That's very nice, but it's not a visiting room. Go back to class. He said please. He's a little bit nice for someone named Buzz Off. And I need to tell you something. Nothing. Obviously, that wasn't going to lead anywhere. I see there's an option of a bunch of cows running around, which I think is a Riddle School 3 thing. If not directly, then at least maybe a reference to like the lost cow, and you describe it as having like a brown spot. Yeah, we'll do that. Very funny. What's the square of 12? 144. Can you please go back to class now? Why is that like somewhere locked away in my like times table brain? I guess maybe that was like a thing, was learning our times tables up to 12, and 12 times 12 would be the limit of your up to 12 times table. So 144, that's like a one that I don't actually do the math for. It's just one that I know the answer to. And of all the random multiplications that exist in the world, I don't know why I feel like I know that one so confidently. It's just a thing. I'd be curious if everyone else feels the same way. Get a haircut. Oh, that's okay. I already got a haircut last week. What a positive response to that. Normally you would take offense and be like, oh, maybe he did. Maybe, can I reread it? Yeah, maybe it's sad. Oh, that's okay. I already got a haircut last week. Does it not stand out? Is it not cool? Did it not turn out? Maybe that is a sad response. You're awesome. Okay, well, thank you. Can you go back to class now? I didn't expect none of that to work. Huh. What do you know then? I never tried this front door. Now you know I can't just go out the door and leave. I need the key to unlock it. But that's not the ring, so I can't do anything with that. I tried bouncing around, and I think what I need to do is maybe just attempt to use you found my wedding ring. But how? Oh, it doesn't matter. Miss Treewood, I can't thank you enough for finding my precious ring. It's weird that never came up in the dialogue as like a hint or something. Here, take the school key. I know you might think it's the only one I've got, but don't worry, I have some spare keys with me. Well, you know, I'm just going to keep this key forever then. I might never come back to school. You're gifting this to me? I infinitely have my own way out and in if I ever wanted to go for a fun late night swim. Thank you so much for finding my ring, Miss Treewood. You can go now. I like the idea of the principal just fully dismissing you for the day. Whatever, you know what? Doesn't even matter. You just go ahead and enjoy yourself. That's more important than school today specifically. Jessica's School, brought to us by JD-Brony. I always just like seeing people credit themselves 1,000 times. I bring it up almost every time I see it. It's just something funny that I used to do as well. I also think it's neat that they had the confidence to go and do their own, like to include their own music in the game rather than simply using Riddle School's original music. I feel like that music is just like iconic, and even though it doesn't fit the game that well, it's hard to think of it with anything else. And yeah, I think it was probably like a good idea to branch out and do your own thing there. Top secret, special features unlocked. This is some information about the game just for the heck of it. It's Jessica's School. Some info, not all. Just a little get-to-know thing for the characters featured in the game. Some of these characters are not originally by me. They are references to other characters and other things. Fun facts. Took about 2 weeks. This is identical to how John would do a fun facts section. 100 library items, made in Flash CS 5.5, number of rooms 16, only 15 accessible. Ooh, we have a hidden room. I started making this game right after I finished making the gameplay elements, probably not the main menu, but the elements of Jessica's house. There was a Jessica's house, was there? This is because I knew for a fact that Jessica's house is a very short point-and-click game, and I was pretty much expecting people to point out that it was short, so I decided to make this game and finish it first before I upload Jessica's house. Oh, interesting. So, Jessica's house came second, even though it was started first. The making of... Oh, it's like an excessively long making of, actually. It's an interesting, there's some interesting stuff in here about like what the original puzzles were maybe meant to be, and how they had, what their vision of the game would have been at one time. Worth reading through, but I think it would be a little bit much for myself to just narrate this entire special features section maybe. And we have a special thing for the characters. I also originally recorded this thinking that I was going to be doing 3 different Riddle School fan games in one video, so I breezed past the special features without looking at them at all. Fun, top secret, extra little details, same as John would do in his games. I had looked at some of it, but I blew past the characters, and you know what? I spent like an hour on each Riddle School game. I'm now giving Jessica's school its own individual video. The least I can do is be comprehensive and also look at these. Jessica Treewood, the main protagonist, a not so unusual but also not so popular student. She has a little brother named Dan. There are 2 things that she loves: cartoons and puns, which that's right in line with John's sense of humor. She can make puns every day, everywhere, every time. Nobody can ever not listen to her puns. Also, she watches cartoons frequently. You're getting a little repetitive there in the bio. That feels a lot like I took part in a few school plays, and they would do like, I forget what they're called, but like a little booklet where you have the different cast and crew of the production, and they would ask you to write your own bio, and that felt like a self-written bio, which is really funny for a school-themed game. Jessica's little brother, he watches YouTube videos more often than watching television. I mean, that's probably true of a lot of people these days. And also, he's a big fan of Dan TDM, which pretty much explains why he is normally dressed like him. Dan is about 10 years old, he's not very mischievous like most young kids, and it would be his dream come true if he were to meet Dan. I think that Phil, in the first Riddle School game, was probably meant to be the same age as John, which at the time of making the game I think was about 10 or 11, and so Dan would be the same age as Phil Eggtree in that sense, if they're, taking place at the same time, and Jessica would be a few years older. And that's just kind of neat to think of having a character that's, aged up a little bit in their own series. Sarah Rockfeather, I dig the name. It reminds me of like Rockefeller, but in a more fun punk rock sort of way. She spends most of her time, whether at school or at home, on her smartphone. Surprisingly, she doesn't need glasses yet. I can't believe my eyes aren't ruined forever. It's shocking to me. She used to focus more on outdoor activities, playing hopscotch and ice hockey before she got her smartphone. Must not be a Canadian, because no Canadian ever specifies ice hockey. You just play hockey. It's especially weird to consider that an outdoor activity. It can be. It's not exclusively, it's got me thinking. Priscilla Newton, she's a professional at chemistry, but not in every other subject. Happy-go-lucky, always tries to make people smile, no matter how hard it was. Her physical appearance doesn't make a lot of sense because she always wears a scarf, even if it's not cold, or even when she was sleeping. That one surprises me more. You could have a stylish scarf that is like, not actually that warm or anything, but while sleeping, it's a whole other bag of apparel you're busting open there. Winter wear. A whole other bag of... I just wanted to say something other than a whole other can of worms, but I wanted it to sound like worms. Winter wear. Cody Trayman. One of Jessica's friends, very smart, especially in math. For some reason, he loves studying so much that he would spend an entire day solving math problems for entertainment, but he is also an avid reader of comic books. A well-rounded fellow, he's going far. Geo McGraffy, so we have a geography guy, which is funny because a lot of the teachers are named in ways that are themed around subjects. I guess the student could be the child of a teacher. They're the school monitor, gets depressed very quickly whenever he has nothing to do but just stand in front of an office for the sake of guarding it, which that doesn't, if he gets bummed out that easily doing that, and it's the primary thing he has to do for his job, I think he should maybe be looking for other work. He's so crazy over comic books that he can run over someone who holds one comic book of his interest. Just plows him right over. Stuart Kelvin, which there's something really funny there actually. That, and where are they in the, oh, they're next in the list of characters. This wouldn't have been true at the time. In the original Flash game series, Charles in Henry Stickmin was just Charles. And only with the bios of the recent Henry Stickmin collection do we now know he's Charles Kelvin. And so they coincidentally gave a different character in the game that matching last name, but it didn't quite happen to be. There's just something really funny about that. That's we have Charles Kelvin right here, or is it Calvin? It might be Calvin and Stickmin. Anyways, it's still near enough to be just kind of a funny coincidence. Stuart does not live a normal life. He has 10 siblings. Pretty crazy, right? It should be. Stuart's life was never the same with that many siblings, and he never got any peace and quiet. And by reading this description, I'm pretty sure you can get who Stuart is a reference to. And Charles, obviously, but Charles MB, I don't quite know what that would mean, or what that would be. Always wears headphones. They're never turned on because they're usually not connected to a music player. Bluetooth headphones, the future. Almost every day, he never takes them off. Also, his headphones are somewhat a bit huge, and by looking at his appearance, you can probably guess who he's a reference to. I mean, it's hard with a stickman, or a stickmin, but like Charles is just a flat, nothing face with 2 lines for eyes and headphones. Like, it is Charles. It definitely is. The white shirt is maybe a reference to the white stickman characters, but like, there's not much else there kind of selling that appearance. Mr. James Integer, he is the school's math teacher, slightly resembles John Arbuckle. The more you say it, the more I believe it. From Garfield. He doesn't normally let his students go out, even if they need to go to the bathroom. There's a lot of pee stains on the floor of Mr. Integer's room. This is because he has had some experience with his previous students who tried to excuse themselves only to escape school. So there's a world outside of Phil Eggtree and Jessica Treewood, that there's other characters out there escaping from schools continuously in similar fashions. Ivan Newton, like Isaac Newton, the physics teacher. Ironically, his daughter Priscilla is a professional at chemistry. Mr. Newton is a descendant of the famous Isaac Newton. He has been teaching physics in the school for, well, he's just a new teacher. One of his favorite hobbies is to experiment with gravity. So we have the father and daughter in there that we were seeing just a little bit earlier. Miss Emma Wordbank, the English teacher, is mostly considered an easy subject. Most of her students have almost no problem learning it. Probably most of them speak it already. Easy breezy. She normally wears a sweatshirt instead of a polo shirt, which all teachers are supposed to wear. Her favorite hobby is reading the dictionary and the thesaurus. I like the idea of having the character bios. Most of them end up largely just repeating the same things that you kind of learn just from exploring the dialogue in the game. But you know, just the fact that it exists at all is still fun. Mrs. Tracy Carbon is the school's chemistry teacher. Her top-notch student, probably not her favorite student, is of course Priscilla. In fact, Priscilla is normally the only student you'll see in her class. That was a little strange, honestly. The overall attendance in the school, or any of these schools, is notably low. Maybe that's everyone else who's constantly escaping. They're pulling over fast ones on James Integer, have been leaving his school from all the way back in elementary, and just none of them ever came back, you know? Miss Carbon's former last name was Chemical. Her favorite hobbies are mixing chemicals and breaking down atoms. Oh, so was that before she got married? Or just the original concept of the character? That would be interesting if they had her as Mrs. Tracy Chemical, and they're like, that's too on the nose. The whole point is that they're named after just barely adjacent things to the field they teach. Chemicals pretty on the nose. I prefer carbon. Mr. Kristoff Novel is the school's librarian. He spends most of his time, well, reading books, but sometimes he ends up reading at least one book for so many hours. Nobody knows the reason why that happens to him, but all we know is that he will not move an inch until he's finished reading an entire book. That's a commitment. Mr. Henry Buzzoff, the school's counselor, not even the principal, apparently. I really assumed that was the case. Fortunately, for most students, he is not that strict. He is also not short-tempered, so the exact opposite of Principal Question from the first Riddle School. And like most school counselors and principals, so maybe they're one and the same, he tries his best to solve the problems of his students no matter what is the situation, but he sometimes doesn't like it when his students are joking around. There. Now I can feel good about that. That's a little bit more comprehensive. I still am gonna leave this because it's exceedingly long. I'll save you one reason to go play Jessica's School for yourself. I'm super impressed. That's actually like a very, very well put together fan game. I like it a lot, and I like doing it so directly referentially with original characters. That's very creative. And so like I said at the beginning, I did have a couple other Riddle fan games lined up that I guess potentially someday could get their own video, but I should take, a bit of a breather from the fan games for a little bit, maybe. I have a lot of original games that I want to show off here soon on the channel as well, so I'll be getting to those in the near future here instead. Thank you guys all so much for watching. If you know of Riddle School fan games, basically outside of Anton's Complex, Puzzle School, and one other that I think people might not think of, and I am gonna keep it secret as like a tease, then let me know in the comments. And I could do Jessica's House as well. That would be like a good inclusion in a compilation video like that. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I'll see you again soon.